Hey everybody, it's your girl, PJamma from PJamma Lyfe. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can catch all the latest new content. I'm doing my first annual Oscar pastiche review of Oscar movies based on books. Today, we are reviewing Chasing the Scream, the first and last days of the war on drugs, and the article The Hunting of Billie Holiday by Johann Hari, and The United States of America versus Billie Holiday on Hulu. Chasing the Scream, the first and last days of the war on drugs, and the article in Politico, The Hunting of Billie Holiday, was written by Johann Hari. It's a nonfiction novel published in 2015, and the book evaluates the history of the war on drugs and describes how racism and politics played a major role in its creation. Journalist Johann Hari reveals how Harry Anslinger, the chief architect of the policy, fueled by racism and ambition, wanted to catapult the agency, the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, what we now know as the DEA, by demonizing and criminalizing narcotics addiction. Now, he was in charge of prohibition, and once that went away, he turned his attention to narcotics. This guy was described to be an out-and-out racist and really had a problem with jazz because he saw that very much in a racist way and was used this as the means to target prominent black musicians and incite racial panic as he viewed jazz in a very racist manner. And he particularly targeted Billie Holiday, the prominent jazz musician, because of her song Strange Fruit, her protest song about lynching, and decided to really make her an example in what he began as a war on drugs. So he hired a black federal agent named Jimmy Fletcher, who he sent undercover to seduce and bust her then for drugs. Ultimately, Billie was set up by her husband, Louis McKay, who reported her drug abuse to Anslinger, and Billie Holiday's conviction and imprisonment led her to lose her cabaret license, which barred her from performing at all the jazz clubs in New York, which was a really big deal at the time. Hari highlights the racial disparity in the treatment Anslinger gave other well-known and famous drug addicts, such as Julie Garland. For her, he recommended treatment, but for Billie Holiday, he waged war on her and other black musicians and artists of the times. And Anslinger particularly targeted and really tormented Billie Holiday until literally her death. He even had her arrested at her critical condition in the hospital and put her in handcuffs while she was in the hospital. And eventually, because they took her off her methadone treatment, it led to her early death at the age of 44. And this shameful treatment of Anslinger really hounded her literally to her death. So the key insights that I kind of got from the article and the book was that racism played a significant role in the creation of this so-called war on drugs. The drug war has given life, if you think about it, to a whole governmental, legal, and illegal industry that we see impacting American lives today. And the demonization of black and brown cocaine users versus the pitying stance taken by white opioid user and addiction is the playbook that continues today. Johann Hari does a great job in describing the role of Harry Anslinger, an out and out racist whose political ambitions led to an extremely destructive racist policy that has implications for today. And it also highlights the power of the government to torment and kill black people for their political protest. I really love the story and how it made me feel. I mean, it made me feel very angry at the government's treatment of Billie Holiday. I thought the author did a great job in highlighting how racism impacts public health and the justice system differently for black people versus white people. Now, let's take a look at the movie United States versus Billie Holiday, which you can see on Hulu. The movie was directed by Lee Daniels, who you'll know from Precious, Monsters Ball, and The Butler. It's starring Andra Day, who you might know from Marshalls or Cars 3. Trevante Rhodes, who you may know from Moonlight and Bird Box, and If Loving You Is Wrong. And Garrett Hedlund, he starred in the movie I loved, Four Brothers, and Tron Legacy. And it was written by Suzanne Lori Parks. You might know her. She just did Genius, Aretha Franklin. It was a biography of Aretha Franklin. And the movie was in part based on the article about Billie Holiday. So the movie is a biographical depiction of how Billie Holiday was targeted by the Federal Department of Narcotics head Harry Anslinger. The movie highlights the main reason for her political activism through the song Strange Fruit, that the government wanted her to stop at all costs because it was changing the way that people saw the government. It was increasing her status in this new and burgeoning civil rights movement. And the story is about the persecution of political activism by the government, and particularly the story of Billie Holiday. So there's some differences between the book and article and the movie, but really not a lot. They followed pretty much the book and the article about what happened to Billie Holiday, but there are a few characters that are there for narrative kind of purposes. The Reginald Lord Divine seems to be a composite character of Quentin Crisp and Skip E. Lowe. And the characters Divine Joy and Freddie, Miss Lawrence, are also fictional characters. And they dramatized at her death that Anslinger was at her bedside, but he wasn't there at her bedside during her death. So, but that's pretty much it. The actual story of what happened to her is true, and it sounds completely unbelievable and ridiculous. The extreme nature in which the government went after her, but it really was all true. So what the movie got right was that it did a really great job in staying close to the story and the source material. And it really is just a sad, heartbreaking tale of the government's persecution of a political and she wasn't really even a political activist. She just wanted to sing a song that told the truth about lynching and what was happening in America. Andra Day did a absolutely brilliant job in showing the pathos and the pride that drove her into addiction, but also her story of pain that really was heartbreaking. So what did the movie get wrong? Well, the movie lagged a bit. And it was a little all over the place, and I felt like Lee Daniels was trying to bring in a lot about her, such as her possible lesbian relationship with Tallulah Bankhead that really didn't go anywhere, her relationship with Freddie that didn't say why this Freddie and Divine were in her life, how they got there, and why they played such an important role. And I also thought it was interesting, I don't think this is wrong, but they totally portrayed Louis McKay as a completely different version than the 1974 version of Lady Sings the Blues with Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams. So I thought that was an interesting, probably more realistic given the history of him actually betraying her. Selling her out to the police is a more realistic view of who he was. Now, would I recommend the book or the movie? I would highly recommend both. I think the article in the book gives more context to why the government played a role in her death, and the movie really brings to life a widely unknown part of the government's role in suppressing the civil rights movement. I enjoyed the article, and the movie was excellent. The movie, I believe, is a brilliant pastiche of the biography and the character study of Billie Holiday. And it's an extremely moving portrait of an incredible artist destroyed by one man's racist political ambitions. And Andra Day absolutely deserves the nomination for Best Actress, but I'm not sure the movie does. So I would give it 5 stars. So where can you find the United States versus Billie Holiday? You can find the movie United States versus Billie Holiday on Hulu, and you can read The Hunting of Billie Holiday by Johann Hari on Politico. It's available for you to read. And Chasing the Scream, The First and Last Days of the War on Drugs by Johann Hari is available on Amazon Kindle, Apple iBooks, B&N Nook, Google Play, and Kobo, or you can check it out at your public library. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell so you can be notified when you could get new content. As we say, art is too important not to share. See you next time. Bye.